In this video, we will share how you can open Svadhisthana Chakra, the second chakra, by reducing your fears. Hi, my name is Amritashraya.
And my name is Devanatha.
And welcome to our YouTube channel. This video is second in the series we are doing about the chakras and how you can open them by simple tools you can practice in your daily life. Many of you know certain yoga asanas or certain meditations to open the different chakras, but there are things you can apply in your daily life, actually related to maybe patterns of thinking or building your awareness throughout the day, which can help open the different chakras.
Yeah, and all of that we share in this video is coming from Paramahamsa Nityananda, the master that we studied with in India, specifically his book Guaranteed Solutions. So there you can reference what we're telling, and there's much more in there, so you can elaborate on it.
So just the basics about Svadhisthana Chakra. It's the second chakra located below the navel center, maybe 5 centimeters below, and above Muladhara Chakra, so in between those two. It's also called the Sacral Chakra. In the Sanskrit language, it's called Svadhisthana Chakra. And Swa stands for self, and Adhisthana means established. So it's where the self is established, or where the being is established.
This chakra is blocked by fear, and especially the fear of death. And it's unblocked by understanding what is fear and how fear happens in us, and by accepting fear. So opening Svadhisthana Chakra is about reducing fear in your life. It doesn't only help the life force energy, Kundalini energy, to awaken in your system, but it makes life more pleasant in general. If you experience less fear in your life, typically you'll enjoy life more and you'll be more calm, less stressed, a more happy being. In life we experience all different kinds of fear. For example, the fear of losing wealth, or the fear of losing our identity, who we are and how people see us. The fear of losing status, fear of losing health, like the physiological health or our mental health. Or, for example, the fear of losing our loved ones. All of these fears can be reduced to the fear of death or the fear of the unknown.
Basically, we face the unknown every day in our lives. We try to diminish the unknown to a very small part of our life. We try to make things more secure. We want to know what will be next. But typically, life just gives us the unknown again and again every day of our life. It's not only when death happens to us that we face the unknown, but somehow we've started seeing death as one moment of life, or well, the end of life, where everything changes, we have no control anymore, and we don't know what we're facing, so the unknown. If we learn to see that in life, in every day, there's so much of the unknown, and there's actually so little control we have, and we start embracing that, life is as it is, and we are able to deal with the unknown as it happens to us. If you start embracing that, automatically you also start embracing the idea of death, and that even when death happens and some changes will be there, you will still be able to handle it. You'll just move through change as you've always moved through change. So for fear to reduce in your life, embracing death, understanding that our fear of death is a fear of the unknown, that all of our fears typically come down to this fear of the unknown. And if you just start embracing that, start living with it, and face your fear even for that fear of death, then the amount of fear in your life can drop.
How does fear work? Fear is triggered by a part of the brain that is called the amygdala. It's a very primitive part of the brain that is common in all animals, and it controls our fight and flight reaction. So whenever something dangerous comes to us through the senses, this part of the brain triggers fight or flight. So that means a signal goes to the adrenaline gland, and the adrenaline gland will produce the hormone adrenaline, which will flood through our system and will put the system in kind of a fight and flight response.
When you face something in life, something happens, the senses perceive it, and the warning bells, like the alarm bells, go off in the amygdala. That's when the adrenaline is produced, and you'll experience it as a higher heart rate, more heat, and energy available which, like from primitive times, is available for you to save your life, to run for your life. So what happens in your whole system is like this primitive life survival mode is switched on, and the side effect of that is that another part of you is switched off. As adrenaline floods your whole system, the part of you with which you have your rational thinking, your logical thoughts, which happen in the cortex, in the cerebral cortex, that part is also flooded by those hormones, and it is reduced in its capacity.
Yeah, at that moment when there is just a fight or flight response needed, we don't want to consider all the options. What if I did this? What if I did that? No, just action is needed at once. So the body goes into that emergency state.
And like many thousands years back, when you would have been facing a mountain lion or something, this is a very useful thing to happen in your system, because the automatic response and the extra energy is available. But if you look at the kind of lives we live these days, where so many of our insecurities, you know, risks are actually very low, and the threats we do face are much more on a mental and a emotional level. For instance, if your boss tells you something he's not happy with the way you've done your work, or you come home and your spouse isn't happy for some reason, even these kind of things we tend to feel as real threats, or at least we respond to them as real threats to our life. While of course there's nothing really life-threatening about it, but the same kind of fear spike happens in us, and the same kind of adrenaline response happens in us.
It's a very different situation whether you're facing a mountain lion and you're really your life is in danger, or you're having some feedback conversation with your boss. But still, we react in a similar way, and that's something that we should understand. Like, that's not necessary. Many of the fears that we face, and especially like the fear of losing our identity, of people not liking us, like these mental emotional fears, we react in a similar way as if it were a death threat, which is not true. So by understanding this, we can start to just recognize and be aware when it happens. Like whenever you're sitting and you're getting some negative feedback from a person and you feel like this fight or flight response is happening in you, just recognize it and know that, okay, this is happening, part of my brain is reacting to this, but it's not really a death threat. There's nothing really happening. I'm not gonna die here. It's just some feedback coming. So slowly, as we become more aware throughout these situations, as they happen in our lives, we can start to reroute this reaction. Because it's possible, and that's the way that you can reduce your fear, it's possible to control this reaction. Like normally it's like almost an instinct response that happens directly to the amygdala, but as we become more aware and as we practice to be aware through these situations, we can start to use like the other more rational part of the brain. So we can start to rationalize at that moment and not go into that fear.
One other important thing is that even though all of us know that having these fear spikes is not a pleasant thing, there's more to it actually. The adrenaline response, and this flushing of hormones throughout the system, which happens in our body upon a fear stroke, it actually damages our system in a certain way. Like if we have that a lot, then the immune system will be lower. It speeds up the aging process, and it releases a lot of depression-inducing chemicals in our system. So becoming aware of the fear strokes, the fear spikes, when it happens, sitting through it without like going into that response and acting upon it, will really benefit you even in a physical way. And so the simple technique, well, you could call it a technique we're trying to explain here, is to sit through those moments when a fear spike happens, realize that there's actually nothing life-threatening happening, and instead of responding to your body's urge to go into that mode of fight or flight, sit through it and build your awareness of what is happening in that moment. as if you're watching it on a screen, as if it is happening to someone else. You just try to observe what happens in your body. Instead of having your heartbeat go up and feeling tense about it, just observe the heartbeat going up. Just observe what the heat happening in your system. And sit through it, and from when that whole thing calms down a little bit, start using your rational and logical way of thinking to get out of the situation. Like, just tell yourself, okay, my boss gave me this feedback. Is it a life-threatening situation? No, it isn't. Is there something useful in what he's telling me? Maybe I can use it to improve myself. You just start using whatever has happened in front of you. You start using it in a logical way and move with it, with a rational response.
So it's all about creating space for a different kind of reaction. As we bring the awareness to the fear happening in us, we can train ourselves to be more rational in a fear situation, to use that other part of the brain instead of getting the fear stroke.
And it's actually the way that works is just like with regular muscle building. If you practice and you repeat your practice, that muscle will grow stronger. And the power of our that rational part of our brain, the cerebral cortex, compared to the amygdala response, that will improve and that will grow stronger as we practice it more. So it's just really a matter of becoming aware of this whole thing, knowing what kind of responses happen in our system, becoming aware and becoming more and more aware. Don't get frustrated or angry with yourself when you feel you didn't do it right the first time you're watching yourself. But just repeat it and repeat it. And improving this function of the cerebral cortex, like building that awareness, it's very useful to prevent yourself of going into this high fear spikes. But it will help you in many, many ways, because this is actually the part of the brain where our human nature steps into the divine nature. It's what makes us different from animals.
And you'll see that over time, the general level of fear in you will drop and it will reduce. And this technique, by reducing the fear, will help you to open the Svadhisthana Chakra, the second chakra, which is blocked by the fear. So we hope this video was useful for you. If you enjoyed it and you would like to help this message reach out to other people also, you can give this video a like below. And also, please, if you have any questions or remarks or just anything you want to share, put it down below in the comments. We always try to read them and enjoy them.
And more videos about the chakras and about Kundalini awakening, about the spiritual lifestyle, like the practical solutions, how you can make spirituality a part of your daily life. That's what we are passionate about, what we like sharing with you guys. So if you like that also, definitely subscribe to our channel. And we hope to see you in the next video.